This is a very short video on how to replace the ignition coil on a Chinese chainsaw. The model 5200 brands, they go from marked 45cc all the way to 75cc. They're all the same engine, same part. They're clones. First, the very short, I've already taken this apart, so I'm going to tell you what to do and how to do it just by pulling the pieces off. First, you need to remove the top cover. And of course, there would have been a air filter there. Once the top cover is done, then you have this cover that has to be taken off, and there are 4 screws. You have one here, 2 here, one over here, and one here. I guess there's 5 screws. 5 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Once that's removed, then you can access. You have to remove that total top cover because this little part hole is held in by that top cover. So now you've got everything excised. There's also a shroud that goes around that spark plug. Keep that. You want that shroud. Now you go over to the side, and I've already removed this, but the first thing is you're going to have the basic recoil mechanism. So you take 4 screws out of there, and when that comes off, you're going to have a shroud. Of course, that's not bolted in, it's just held in place by the 4 screws. And now you're down to the point where everything is available. So let me get this over, get a little more light here. The ignition coil is right there. So that's the ignition coil. It's held in by 2 screws. Let me get a screwdriver and show you. There's a screw right here, and there's a screw right here, right into that coil, and another one right here in the other side of the coil. Now that is held so that the flywheel goes around in a circle, and every time a magnet hits, it will fire. So what you do is you take a business card, like I've done right here, and put it between the ignition coil and the flywheel. So when you bolt it back together, it will give a business card amount of space between that and the flywheel. And the way you get it to hold is you simply rotate till the magnet holds your ignition coil in place, and then you tighten it up. Now the one problem you're going to have is these screws are all different. Take a look at these 2 screws. These are the ignition coil screws. They have a washer and a lock washer, and boy are they tight. These screws are the type of screws that will hold on the recoil pull start. They're a different size again than the screws that would hold on the top cover. So keep your screws separate so you don't screw up and mix them up. But that's about it. It is not a complicated project. Just make sure that you use a business card to space between the flywheel and the ignition coil when you screw it back in, so there's a sufficient amount of space and it doesn't touch. But it can be a very small, you could actually use double thickness business card, and I think you'd still be okay. But it's an average thickness business card. There is a wire here, you can see right there, there's a wire that has to be pulled loose. And I think the rest of that is self-explanatory as to how to put it in and how to get it loose. The signs of a bad ignition coil is almost always that it doesn't want to start. It won't start when it gets hot. And that's what's going on with this one, and I hope my $10 coil will fix it. So that's about it. Please subscribe, put a like there, tell me if I'm wrong. Thank you.